we continue to think about the work that we did the other day, where we pushed ourselves to think how a perspective reader, we've thought about how it comes from more than one perspective. And if I think about how it comes from more than one perspective, what does that mean, Sebastian?
It means you have different ideas about the topic.
Okay. And we also talked about how a character has likable traits. What does that mean? If a character has likable or even unlikable traits, Carter, what do we think about then?
Likable traits is what people like about them, or unlikable traits is what people like.
Yes. So give me an example about when a character has likable traits or unlikable traits. We talked about Harry Potter, and when we talked about Harry Potter, we talked about the traits that Harry has, and they're not always what we expect. What did we talk about with Harry and the traits that we didn't expect from him?
Him trying to.
Yeah. Now, what were the traits that he gave that were likable? Rachel, do you remember the traits he gave that were likable? He was what?
He was caring to her.
Yes. He was very caring to her. She felt very upset. She left the party, and he actually looked like he was having a good time at the party. But he followed her because he knew that she was upset. Did she also know that he might be a little upset? Yeah. So, but we left that scene that left him very caring and considerate and kind and compassionate. We left that scene and went straight to another scene that he was going to try to kill Malfoy. And he didn't care about Malfoy or his feelings. He was like, and Malfoy, well, at the scene that we left, Malfoy was still alive. When we left the scene, Malfoy was laying on the ground, and he was still moaning and groaning when we left the scene. We didn't leave the scene. Right. So, but, did we get the picture? Yes. Okay. Today, I want to teach you that characters have reasons for things that they do and the ways that they are. It's helpful for a reader to ask, what pressures might there be on this character? Do these pressures help me understand the character's actions and decisions? Now, when we left our main character in the playground scene, what kinds of pressures do you think he had? And I believe I now have his name. His name is Will, our main character. But we weren't ever given his name. But did he have certain pressures put on him to behave the way that he behaved? The main pressure was that he wanted to be. What did he want to be most of all?
He wanted to be in the inner circle.
Yes. What were you going to say? Yeah, that's exactly it, Carter. That's exactly what he wanted to be. He wanted to be popular. He wanted, most of all, was that a pressure that he felt? Absolutely. He wanted to be out of the field of clovers. He wanted to feel popular. So let's go back to the story just a little bit. I'm going to read a little bit of the story, and let's think about what Will was feeling. light upon me. I pointed at Mitch's yellow pants and shirt and said, someone else needs a mirror. You look like a canary. And then he calls him, look like a canary. Then, with the grace of a magician's assistant, I raised my left arm and in a presentational gesture said, boys, I give you Tweebird. And yes, it was all over. As the volume of the laughter doubled, Mitch seemed to vanish. And that day, on that playground, Sean Owens' laughter was heard for the first time. In an instant, Mitch Brockman became and I, an absolute non-entity, became somebody. And then somebody special. Someone to seek out. Someone to follow. Sean Owens' first gesture and best friend. The entire transformation was complete in a matter of months. Yes, sir.
Is this an actual book?
Let me show you. Remember what I told you it was called? And I said it has nothing to do with the title. The title was kind of racy, but it doesn't have anything to do with the title. It's actually called First French Kiss. But it doesn't have anything to do with the title. Obviously, that's not what we're reading about. But it actually is a real book. Yeah. Okay. So, during this time, Mitch became a less and less vocal part of the group, telling fewer and fewer stories until finally, the following year, he was gone. To another school, perhaps, or another state, or another country. I never knew. No one knew because no one noticed. No one had called him for months. But my phone rang. My weekends were filled with sleepovers and baseball games and bowling parties and bicycle races and more new friends than I knew what to do with. So what's his main character trait now? What was his main character trait now? Jamin? Like ruthless, cutthroat, deep. Yeah.
Satisfied?
He was. But even though we say that he was I think he kind of did feel satisfied, but was he completely satisfied? Because what did he say next? Did he trust the other characters in the story? Not at all. He didn't trust them at all. Because he says he could be next. He could be the next Mitch Brockman. So, let's think about how incredible all these pressures must feel. What pressures does Will have? Write 2 pressures. You may turn and talk to the people around you. Write 2 pressures. 2 pressures. What pressures does he have on him? Well, why does he feel the need to behave the way that he behaved? He was the first pressure that you said.
What?
Popularity. He felt the pressure to be popular. Okay, sixth graders. What were some of the pressures that he felt? Yes. He felt the pressure of trust. Because otherwise, he didn't trust the rest of the group at all. What other pressures did he feel? Yes. He felt so pressured to make sure that he didn't end up back where he started. Ryan?
The popularity, because sometimes it goes up, but some, like Justin Bieber, he's the rock star, then you like too soon.
Yes. You never know. You have Yeah. You never know. You have to play it minute by minute. Okay. I wonder one more thing. I wonder how ruthless Mitch had been when he said that Will needed a ruler because his pants were too short. Maybe the pressure of other kids being cruel is making Will cruel as well. The pressure of the other kids. Did you see how we thought of a trait that we didn't love about the main character? And then we rethought the story that we've read so far. Thinking about scenes where the traits emerge and pressures that are on the character that might explain that trait. Because remember, we were talking about Harry Potter, and we said that we actually wanted to justify Harry's actions. We wanted to say, it's okay that Harry treated Malfoy like that. Why was it okay that Harry treated Malfoy like that? What? Sure. Yes, exactly. So sometimes we want to justify a character's actions. Let's give you a chance to try this out, not just in your own novels, but also in your own lives. Most teens and preteens feel a variety of pressures. And some of those pressures might be conflicting. You might have pressure from friends to be one way and pressures from parents to be another. Those pressures might influence your behavior and might even at times cause you to behave in ways that are less than likable. Last week I said to you that if I ever thought that my own kids were being unkind to other kids, that would not be a conversation that we would want to have at my house. But it would be a conversation I would absolutely have with my kids. Because I would never want to think that one of my own kids was treating another kid unkindly. But do you think the pressure that you feel from other kids sometimes can make you behave in a certain way? I think so. Right now, write down a pressure that you yourself might be feeling. And you can turn and talk to the people around you. I know, but there are things that are going on with us that make us behave in ways that sometimes are unlikable, right? So what are some pressures that you guys might feel? Yes. So you feel that pressure from actually parents, with no doubt. And sometimes we actually feel that pressure from kids at school too, because we don't want to look like we don't know what we're doing, right? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you don't want to have a thing, right? I'm new here, right? Why not without writing? You're right. Oh yeah. I know over the summer I'm just asking to go and for your close friends. And they asked, as we were sitting there, do you have passes with Bo? And I asked Stephen and Adam and the other friends. So they're like, no, Miss Echo, we don't have passes with Bo. Because we're not smart. And I said, oh, no, wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Because Bo might be in like papers, but Stephen has some skills and responsibility that Bo doesn't have. Like Stephen is a job already. Stephen doesn't know license yet. It's a job. And he actually goes to work at a place and gets a paycheck and then gets paid. Because that's not how Bo works. That's not how he thinks. So there are so many different characteristics, so many different things going on with other people that make them so you have to think about different ways. Okay, so what were some of the pressures? Jamin, what's a pressure?
Trust.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because go ahead.
Punch me.
Yeah. Absolutely, without a doubt. Jamin, that is probably the most important thing that the kids have to deal with. Without a doubt. Ryan, what's another?
One of mine was the pressure of my sister, because she takes all her anger out on me, and I'm like, can you just please stop? I feel this too, but she doesn't listen.
Yes, sibling pressure. Without a doubt. My brother and I didn't get along growing up. In fact, when we were riding the bus one day, and this is a story I'm not proud of, Not proud of right now.
No.
So when we were riding the bus one day, my brother and I, of course we always got off at the same place, and one of the girls on the bus said, "Why does he get off the bus with you?" And I said, "Because my mom babysits for him." You should have said it's my boyfriend. You should have said it's my boyfriend. I did not admit that he got off the bus with me because he was my brother. I said the most horrible thing that today I am so embarrassed because I said that, because I felt the pressure. Well, he didn't know that I said it, but he knows now. And he does forgive me now because he knows, again, the pressure that kids feel. I didn't want to admit that he was my brother. Why? Because I felt like the other kids on the bus would make fun of me. Well, because my brother was kind of maybe a nerdy kid, or you know, I know he shouldn't, right? How incredibly horrible! But do we feel those kinds of pressures as kids? Yeah! 3, 2, 1, and we're ready. Thank you. So boys and girls, as you're thinking about these things, remember, characters in our books also have that same kind of pressure going on. So we have to learn from these and learn what kinds of things take place. Why do these characters act the way they do? Yes, ma'am.
I feel pressure from my mom.
Yeah.
She, no offense to Bella's mom, but my mom is annoying. They have their job.
I know. It's their job. It's their job.
They have to play a game where when you come and you kind of like rush something, they have to ask you a billion questions. Like, what are you doing? And then I'm like, getting dressed. And I'm getting in my room, she opens the door, she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm getting dressed. In the middle of me getting dressed, and then she just leaves the door. I'm like, shut the door.
So I may have had this thing going on this morning as well, because I need to know, because I have to leave by 7, but Bo doesn't leave until 7:30. So when I leave, I need to know he's ready. So I did the same thing. Bo, what are you doing? Are you ready? Do you have your teeth brushed? Do you have your medicine taken? Do you have? So I'm just like, are you ready to go? I played the 20 questions with him this morning too. I know. I understand where you're coming from, because you probably have an agenda too. You probably think I need to do this and this and this and this and this, but you just want to make sure that you get it done on your own time, right?
Have you done this? Yes. Have you done this? Yes. Mom, but you get this.
I get it. Okay, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're ready. Boys and girls, to think deeply about our characters, to make sure that we understand that we have to think about our characters and the actions that our characters take, we have to expect characters to be complicated and show more than one trait. We have to remember that our character isn't always as simple as we would like for them to be. Revise your thinking in the face of new evidence. Because remember, even in Harry, and in Will's case too, at first we kind of felt sorry for Will a little bit. Because he wanted so desperately to be away from the Allens and to be popular. But then, Will was a bit of a jerk. And Harry kind of was too. And then we have to look at characters less likable sides. I know when I was watching Harry Potter, and I read the Harry Potter book with one of my kids first, but when I was watching the movie, I didn't want to think of him as a less likable character. That was kind of a hard thing for me to do. And there are other books as well that I really didn't want to think of my character as anything but a good character. Yeah. And know that some traits matter more than others because they affect the rest of the story. Did it really matter to the entire plot of the story, Sebastian, that Harry Potter was a jerk in a small part of the story? Did that make the whole entire story?
Yes.
I mean, it did help us to understand that he has a deep sense of himself, but did it make him a jerk in the entire story? Nope. No. It didn't. And we also have to consider the pressures that are exerted on the character. If we don't think about the pressures that are exerted onto a character, then sometimes we don't understand where they're coming from. So sometimes we have to think about the entire story of a character to understand where they're coming from. Like, if I told you that I don't ever want my kids to treat somebody badly, if I told you that it's because one of my kids has some special things about himself, my son has autism. And so, because of that, he's not always treated nicely by some of his peers. And because of that, I care deeply about how all the other kids are being treated. There are some serious issues going on when you're going to treat somebody badly because of the way that they were born. Because of something that they can't change. No matter how hard, no matter what on earth he does, can't change. And for someone to make sure that they go out of their way to treat somebody unkindly because of that, so I make positively sure that I know that other kids are going to do their best to be kind to everyone else. And understanding and empathetic. Because by golly, kiddos, I wouldn't want anybody else to treat my kids like that. And remember I said that I wasn't kind to my brother? Because of course, our brothers and sisters kind of like that. They are. But you know what? My kids don't treat each other unkindly. Because I learned my lesson. Bo and Chloe absolutely love one another with their entire hearts. And Chloe says that Bo is kind of her best friend. Because I learned my lesson. I learned from mistakes that were made in the past. And they know how to treat each other now. So boys and girls, when you go home tonight, what I want you to think about is, when you write about what you read tonight, I want you to think about, what is the most significant new idea or thinking you've been developing as you read? Think about, why does that idea feel important to the whole book? Think about, where is the first place in the book that sparked that thinking? Think about, what passage or line is most important to this idea? And why is it significant? Think about, how has your thinking about this idea changed across the book? And think about, can you imagine someone arguing with that idea of yours? And what might that person say? How might that person respond to you? Could there be people that might want to argue with my thinking? Absolutely. But are their arguments something that make sense? They could be. So tonight, Sebastian, your only assignment is to read and write down. Do you have to write in paragraphs? No. You can jot your thoughts any way that you're most comfortable with. Make sure when you write about what you read, you have that ready for me when you come to school tomorrow. If you need to look over these things, they will be on the video on YouTube. Yes, sir. You do, and I will make sure to get that to you tomorrow. Wait. Hey, let's just do it now. Grab your green paper before you leave. Grab your green paper. Girls, grab your green paper. Rachel, grab your green paper before you leave. Oh. Grab your green paper before you leave. You have one? Get one.
Stole it. I got one when I heard it.
Okay. Oh, that's a good title. Do you have this, Sawyer? Do you have this paper?
Oh, I just had to switch myself.
Okay.
But no.
My dad has
I thought of this. Harry Potter was only good because Hermione was being hurt by that person's spin.
Wow.
That's why Harry was being a jerk, because
That's some deep thinking.